may you live long. With perseverance, hold on and stand tall. Never back down with my back.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the After Party Hangover. This is the show that talks about a show that talks about a show. And of course, for all you newcomers, I know I now have 100 subscribers on Mangria Fuel's YouTube page. Let me describe what this show even is. I mean, the show that started it all is the Still Real After Party podcast. You can find it on all your finer podcasting platforms. It's with Jake and Zanka. They talk about WWE. They do it now every, maybe 5 times a year now. They used to do it weekly. That's where this show was born. That's where myself, the obese super fan, Mangria Fueled, gets on here, brings in a member of the Still Real Army to where we get to know the listeners of the Still Real Army, and then we briefly discuss this past Still Real After Party podcast. This week's guest, people, it's been a minute. As a matter of fact, we haven't seen this gentleman on since December 10th of 2022, many moons ago. It's been a year and some change. This is now episode 117 of the After Party Hangover. He may look a little familiar because of another show on Mangria Fueled YouTube channel. We have the fat drunk one who calls everyone racist, then proceeds to shout every racial slur imaginable. And then we have our wrestling encyclopedia who throws all of his original opinions away to agree with everything Cesar says. A dedicated soldier to the SRAP Army, always reliable, always knowledgeable, the Mike's Hard Lemonade chugging, bald-headed, four-eyed, Stixy dripping, Stix blade, Stixygoat. We all totally nonstop appreciate our tripod brother. An all-around great guy. He is indeed Stixadam. Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your appearance once again. Stixadam, my friend, how have you been? Update the peoples on. Let's pick the wrestling up. Let's pick the podcasting up. Put it aside. Why don't you delight the peoples here, all 100 of them, to what's been going on in your life, brother? How you been doing?
Well, first off, I am definitely going to need you to do that voiceover so I can put that on my headstone. So that way, when everybody walks by, it just starts queuing up and enough people are just going to want to go ahead and freaking destroy it. But thank you for that exquisite, phenomenal, Stix-nominal intro. As one of the greatest things anybody has really even said. Normally, it's just all fun. Normally, when people see me, it's like, it's just you. But that was a great entrance. Wow, what's been going on? A lot of wrestling. I've switched jobs. I used to work at a hospital. Now I'm back overnights at Walmart. So that kind of puts a little bit of a kink into the wrestling watch, which it does, but yet it causes me not to get much sleep because I got to watch wrestling, which it's a labor of love. I mean, it is. So we're doing that, working at the wonderful world of Walmart. But outside that, nothing much has changed. Still with the same girlfriend, still got the same four-legged cat that seems to make an appearance every once in a while that causes a ruckus. But outside that, just watching a lot of wrestling and waiting for Sundays to come up so I get to hang out with my brothers from another mothers. Wait for episodes of the Still Real After Party come out, which seems like we get 2 of those every quarter. Outside that, we wait for a loyal pretzel and the sheriff to release a hot episode coming from the Skeet Saloon. But outside of that, just a lot of wrestling and catching up on sleep.
I'm going to do my very best to not interrupt you because on our other show, The Tripod, a certain somebody likes to step on our toes every chance he gets. We love you, Cesar, but I think
we're both kind of used to that by now.
I'm gonna do my best to give you as much breathing room as possible. By the way, speaking of the tripod, this is just a disposable In-N-Out cup from In-N-Out Burger. There's nothing special about this. I got my Christmas present over here, but just giving you guys a peek behind the curtain here of what cup I've been using. It's a different cup every time. But as I was saying before, this is the fans spin-off show of the Steel World After Party. Speaking of which, we are going to discuss SRAP episodes 169 and 170. But first, episode 169, Steroids and Pancakes.
He's made some hot children.
Which one?
Actually,
He might Robin
He
Williams.
might
himself.
Robin
You never
Williams.
know.
Yeah, but no one would care.
That's not true. I'd care.
Less
I
people
love
would
Marvel.
care about him than
Going
Robin.
there, the Holocaust holes. Nope, that's not.
Nope.
The Jew tunnels.
Chris Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame.
No, he shouldn't.
He's one
These
of the,
parts. Nah, I mean, son. Like,
Hitler was a good leader.
he was a great leader
Should
and
he
a
be
terrible
in-
artist.
Should he be in the Hall of Fame?
If there was a Hall of Fame for leaders, probably. I like chaos.
Sorry, that was just a random thought. Didn't even mean to come out.
I will not say anything about the title of the fucking podcast because these guys are still butthurt from me shitting all over their decisions. But we kick off this particular podcast with Doctor Visit Talk. Jake had to go do some blood work. He got checked out and poked on by his doctor, which, by the way, I guess he's fine. He didn't really elaborate on these visits. He's been waiting for his results. But as a man, I don't like going to the doctor. That's probably why we die faster, is because we don't fucking like to go to the doctor. We like to walk things off. I mean, me and Stix share a particular ailment in diabetes we couldn't ignore, so we had to go to the doctor. But Stix, when was the last time you even went to the doctor?
Well, being a diabetic, they want me to show up. I believe they want me to come at least 4 times a year because they like to not only poke, prod, drain blood, they also like to drain money out of my bank account, which the insurance companies love. But I usually try to go twice a year. I think the last time I went, we were in February. I think I went in December just for a basic checkup, prescription refills, pee in a cup, get about a couple vials of blood, so that way they can tell me that I am fat, obese, need to eat better, have high blood sugar, high blood pressure, have high cholesterol, all the great things that Americans get with the vast variety of fast food that I myself and a lot of people partake in. But yeah, I think the last time was exactly. I think the last time was in December.
Funny enough, strangely enough, a little coincidental, the last time I went to the doctor was the last time you were on the After Party Hangover because I got COVID back in 2022. That's the last time I've been to the doctor. But yes, you are correct. As diabetics, we must go at least 4 or 5 times a year to get our A1C, to get our doctor to judge us, of course. But I found loopholes around such visits, Stix, because you work at the very place where I get said insulin. Very cheap, by the way. I don't have to go to the doctor anymore. I go by feeling. I go and I go and visit old Wally World. I see all them in them blue vests, and I pick up my insulin very cheap. And I do test my blood because you have to see how you feel and determine. Usually, this is year 23 that I've been diabetic, type 1. By the way, an update in my own personal life. This is day 39 of me being sober. I have not drank at all. And the benefits of that is all my clothes are fitting better. All the clothes I got to wear to court and all my old wrestling shirts. Like this fucking shirt is very loose on me. I ordered 5X over on Teespring for the Still Real After Party. But yes, I do go to Walmart. Walmart's my doctor now. I go and get my fucking insulin twice a month and get a couple bottles. But yeah,
Let me just ask you that. It's pretty nice to be able to just go out to Walmart and get like a lot of your supplies. Because I don't know about you, when I was first diagnosed, you had to have a prescription for everything. Like you had to have a prescription for the machine, for the Lancets, for the insulin, yeah, all that stuff. And it's just so nice now that you can just go out there and go buy a cheap $15 Walmart blood testing machine, like $20 for like 100 test strips, like $3 or $4 for Lancets, and like $25 for a bottle of insulin. It's just so nice now compared to back when first diagnosed. It's just, I mean, it was when I was a kid, I was like, God, I got to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to get a high-paying job or a good job that has a good insurance. This is going to break me. But now, I mean, with the advancements that we've had of everything, it's just so great to be able to. It makes being a diabetic. I mean, you still pay a little bit more than what normal people do, but I mean, it makes it a little bit more livable and comfortable.
You know, it's a blessing being a fat, red-blooded American, having the access to Wally World in itself. The only thing I don't know about Wally World, because I do take Novolin, that's the insulin I'm on. I don't know if there's a generic 24-hour insulin. Does Walmart sell that? I'm not sure, because I used to take two types of insulin.
There's a slow. See, I'm not supposed to be taking it, but there's a slow. There's a cheaper, like slow release insulin that is a 24-hour one, but it's not one of those that's like a fast acting that you could take for meals. There is one, but the thing of it is, like they kind of shy away from it now with the advancements because it's so. From what they tell me is there's like peaks and valleys of when it kicks in. So there's one that I'm supposed to be on, but I mean it costs a little bit more and they don't give you very much. I think it's called like Basilgard, but the only thing you can get it in is like a giant like pen.
Mm-hmm. Then
not only you got to get that, you got to go buy like the needle heads that you screw on it.
Yep.
I don't do that. I'm like you. I'm a syringe and vial guy. I did the pens when I was young, and those things were thick. I mean, we're talking like the old school pen that you had like the 20 different colors on the top that you could push down on. They were that thick. So, but yeah, long answer short, yes, Walmart does make a fast act or slow acting 24-hour one. I believe it's called Novolin N.
Okay.
And it comes in, the difference between that and probably the one that you take is that the Novolin, the 24-hour one, is a cloudier bottle, which you gotta mix and all that stuff. But I mean, yes, there is a 24-hour one.
That has been the Diabetic Dojo here on the After Party Hangover, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry to bore you, but hey, man, well, a lot of people in America, we're fat, we're diabetic, so deal with it. But, you know, we're talking about doctors, so they were talking about doctors too. Up next, Zanka, he drinks the old Monster energy drinks, which, by the way, are horrible for your health. I'm pretty sure it kicks him in the ass, though. He needs the caffeine for it. I take the 5-hour energy drinks. Those, if I need a boost, a caffeine boost, they get the little $3-4 5-hour energies. I got to take insulin for that too because there's sugar in it. But hey, it works. Sunny looks like a blonde Mangria because the resemblance is uncanny. Am I right? That was funny. Very funny line that they said in the episode as well. By the way, if we were in the same penitentiary together, we'd be the power couple of the commissary. I'd have all the pickles and Cheetos, and she'd have all the Twinkies and ramen. But I digress. The LOL line for me of the episode was, imagine if Mangria was in jail with Sunny and he got to put his pickle in her pocket. That is very funny. Any thoughts of the tragically obese Sunny in you know, she's going to be locked up for a while, Stix. She is now, as Zanka put it, on our level. We might have a chance. All we got to do is give her a pack of ramen, and we might get our own conjugal visit with the formerly beautiful Sunny.
It's nice to know that I could probably show up and share a can of Mike's Hard Lemonade and probably have the best 2 minutes of my life with only just trying to remember like early 90s Sunny. I mean, and I never thought of it until the guy said it. You know, the resemblance is uncanny. It's just, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I literally I paused it and I sat there for like a good 5 minutes and I'm like, holy shit! Like it literally broke the hamster on the wheel in my head. It literally caused that hamster to stop, think about it, go into a seizure, get revitalized, go into another seizure, and then get back on the wheel again. I mean, I couldn't believe it. And just when you sit there and you think about like early 90s, mid 90s Sunny, and has just seen the downslope of what's happened to her. I mean, it's when you think of it, like a lot of the divas and the female valets from the like early 90s, mid 90s, a lot of them have had a kind of a down like just a downslope.
Downward spiral of
Yeah, I
their
mean,
life.
just thinking of like you would think Sable was doing pretty good, but then you get the news about Brock that just happened. It's just like, oh man, she really hasn't. It really hasn't gotten any better. I mean, she's out in the middle of nowhere in Saskatchewan, and she's with a dude that was shitting on chicks.
I mean, realistically, if you think about it, Sable's probably chained in Brock's basement, shitting out kids and pissing in the bucket for Brock's enjoyment. Sadly, that dark side of the ring will come to light very soon. I think they have a Chris Candido dark side of the ring. I don't know if that's this season. I don't know if it already happened or if it's this season of dark side of the ring, but
I want to say I think it might be this season. Well, I know Netflix is doing something. Supposedly they're doing something on Vince McMahon. So I mean that'll come to light sooner than later.
I don't know if he gave her the old Cleveland steamer, but I guess we'll find out on the Netflix doc, sadly. But if we were in the, oh yeah, so it's that the LOL line. He also said something. He were talking about the Power Rangers. He had a random Power Rangers tangent, and he said that was just a random thought. Didn't even mean to come out. Which, by the way, should be on a shirt because that's the premise of the Stiller after party and the after party hangover and the tripod. That was just a random thought. Didn't even mean to come out. They named the SRAP cooking show Eat That Shit, which I've shared the graphic. I made the graphic. I asked that question on purpose because one of the sponsors of the Royal Crumble was the SRAP cooking show Eat That Shit. I made the graphic for it. I even sent them the outtakes, which he used for the cover art for the next episode 170 Stix. But the SRAP cooking show, would you watch it?
Goddamn right I would watch it. I mean, I listened to the boys already. So why wouldn't I watch a show that involves both of them cooking? I mean, we know Jake can bake. I mean, the funny thing would be, would he actually do it outside of the bathtub, or would he actually just do baking from inside the bathtub? And then, depending on what he's baking, would Zanka finally just get mad enough at him and just throw like, I don't know, the beater, like the beaters, would he, or the whatever they are, would he finally just throw that still plugged in to the bathtub and just finally kill off Jake? I mean, would he finally meet his point? I mean, seeing Zanka do just about anything is amazing because he'll start on the project, but then he veers off. So you can only imagine if he was cooking some, but then had to wait for it to cook, just how far off he would go in the left field, and then forget like, oh shit, I gotta take this out of the oven. Like he would burn the set down.
Jake would be baking a cheesecake and be explaining to Zanka the ingredients and everything, and Zanka would be like, "Oh, really? Squirrel!" And then he'd fucking just wander off to the side. But I mean, you brought up a good point, Stix. I mean, Jake would bake, Zanka would eat it, and he thought the lactose intolerance was bad enough. He would have to shit. But once he finds out Jake baked it in the tub, it'll be coming out both ends. He'll be vomiting and shitting the same time. But and by the way, if they let Zanka in charge of all the cooking, there'd be a lot of unfinished projects. There'd be a half-made grilled cheese sandwich. There'd be a fucking half-made spaghetti because he would lose interest immediately and just walk off and talk or think about something else.
He just ended up dashing the final product in.
Exactly. It would be an entertaining show, though. Hopefully, one of these days we'll get to see them. Gordon Ramsay something up for us. Jake said that Trump makes hot children. He also said that nobody would care if Mauro Ranallo Robin Williams himself. He said that CBG belongs in the Hall of Fame of leaders, and he said Hitler should be in the Hall of Fame of leaders. This is a very this not even nobody even mentioned all the shocking things Jake said during this podcast. I'm gonna make a sizzle reel of everything Jake said for this episode and put it at the beginning of our after party hangover. So shocking developments from Jake himself, Stix. I don't know if you noticed. I mean, it's been a while since Jake has said some truly horrific things, but this goes up there with so the evidence that's building against him. God forbid he ever gets arrested.
Yeah, it was essentially like Jake just tried outdoing himself. You know, it was like, you know, CBG needs to go. You know, he's a bona fide leader. It's like, but then he decided, you know what? Hold my freaking hold my beer. I'm gonna say Hitler. It's like, wow, okay. So when are we gonna go ahead and put Genghis Khan in, and I don't know, maybe Ted Bundy, you know, maybe a few other people. I don't know, there's some other people you could put in there. I mean, but you know, you decided to go with Hitler. I mean, if that doesn't scream a guy who drives around in an off-white van full of Huffy bikes, I mean, I don't know what does, but I mean, jeez, I mean, you could have picked some other people, but I mean, Hitler.
Little peek behind the SRAP curtain. Zanka did say they had to cut out the argument he was making for Stalin to also be in that Hall of Fame. It's like that was a good idea, Zanka. Good thing we put that on the cutting room floor.
Man, I tell you, Jake must not have had his tub of big gay ice cream the night before, so he might have been a little fussy.
You know, when he slipped and fell that one morning before the Christmas episode, it might have knocked something really wrong.
Yeah,
couple screws loose, but
yeah, definitely.
We did find out that Johnny Harm's Way, Larry, the hardcore pretzel, was the latest to be inducted in the SRAP Hall of Fame. He won't be in the chat because you want to talk about gathering evidence. He won't be in the chat, but you know, Larry, you know, there we go. Give it up for Larry. He's a dedicated APBW member as well. Stix, my question to you is, have you ever had an interaction with Larry? Have you ever reached out to him or talked to him? Has he talked to you? Have you noticed his comments on our episodes?
Yeah, I think he reached out to me. I think it's been like a hot minute. But yeah, great guy. I haven't seen the comments because a lot of times when I watch the stuff, it's actually I have it on my TV.
Mm-hmm.
So once I watch it, I don't go back and go through the comments, which I probably should. But guy is a great guy. He turns out great content on the hardcore dad. And his work that he does in APPW he's each time you see him on TV when he drops a promo, he gets better and better. So I mean, the guy, from all I can see and from all I read, stand-up guy, great guy, puts out great content, and as a Hall of Fame member myself, I would like to go ahead and congratulate him on becoming one of the newest members of the SRAP Hall of Fame. So congratulations, Larry.
Also, another fun fact about Larry, he's one of the only two people who have ever done shirtless promos in APPW. Of course, Andy being the other. But yeah, this is the podcast where Jake assigned himself Ready to Rumble, which more on that in a little bit. Let's move on to SRAP episode 170, Pillow Fluid. Jake did not like Ready to Rumble. He said it had a Kid Rock soundtrack, and it's basically WCW making fun of itself. He compares Jimmy the King to Lord Jake. He said it's not the worst movie he's ever seen. We're not going to talk about Ready to Rumble just yet, but he did ask Zanka, what's the worst movie you've ever seen, Stix? So I present that question to you. Can you recall the worst movie you've ever seen?
I don't know, because I've watched some really, really, really bad ones. I know you and myself, we have a certain affinity for horror flicks. And I know a while back here we did some back and forth. You made the suggestion for Sleepaway Camp, which I went down that rabbit hole of, I believe, 3 movies.
Oh, you watched all 3 of them?
I watched all 3 of them. Yeah, if I could find them or rent them, guess what your guy did here? He watched all 3.
What did you think?
They're not bad. I mean, they're not bad. You kind of got to displace yourself from this time and go back at the time when those movies are released to be able to kind of put yourself there. I mean, there's another franchise that it kind of reminded me of, just not the plot wise. It's like, I forget what it is. They put out 3 films, and that it was one of those that I got for the second one. You're like, but back to the original question. The only one I could think of was I watched Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Oh my God, yes. I watched that last year. That is the worst. It was the worst movie of last year, but it is up there with the worst of all time. The decisions the characters made in that, the special effects, I mean, it seems like someone thought, like, of course, you know, it'd be a good idea. What if they made Winnie the Pooh a horror movie? And the idea was good, but the execution, nah. That was terrible.
I think they're making a second one.
The trailer came out today for the second one.
Did it come out? Oh, I gotta look that up. Well, you know, they're doing a bunch of different, like, some other ones off of like children's stories like that. I forget the other 2.
The
Grinch. I heard about them.
They did the Grinch also.
Yeah, the Grinch. I think there's one more. Oh, Bambi. They're doing one for fucking Bambi. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Yep, that's the one.
God.
Yeah. Guess what, buddy? We're gonna have some stuff to talk about. That doesn't involve wrestling.
Again, the idea is good. The execution is not. Do not just write a short story, publish it. Don't spend. There's no way it's cost $1 million to make that fucking movie. Let's just say $700,000 to make Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey because of the explosions, and possibly to pay the actors. But other than that, there's no way these movies cost over $1 million. Leave it to a short story. We don't need to film adaptation to this shit. But that is an excellent choice, Stix. I was actually going to give you 3. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey was the worst movie of last year. The Trauma Studios movies, The Toxic Avenger, all those fucking, they made a movie called Poultrygeist, which to this day is the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, Poultrygeist. But mainstream, if we're talking mainstream, Grown Ups 2 was the biggest abortion, and they had Stone Cold Steve Austin in it. It was the biggest. I didn't laugh once. It is the worst. They didn't even go to Hawaii. They could have used this to go on vacation overseas. It was in their hometown, wherever the fuck it was. It was in America. It was not funny. It was horrible. But how about mainstream, Stix? Mainstream movie. Can you think of one?
Oh, jeez.
I'm a film buff. Like, I love movies. Like, if I could talk days about wrestling, and I could talk days about movies. Movies I'm very passionate about, so I do have a list.
Mainstream? God, I can't really think of one off the top of my head because I haven't really had a chance to sit down and watch movies.
I can give you 2 more.
I'll go ahead.
And they're horror movies. Rob Zombie's second Halloween movie was so bad. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I wouldn't wish that on Boston's. That was such a bad movie. And then just recently, Halloween Kills. So bad. So bad. Like they get it right with the first one. They always get it right with the first reboot. And then the sequels just are some of the worst things you've ever seen in your life. But again, you don't have to come up with one, but the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey was an excellent choice. Again, I could wax poetic about movies for the rest of the night, but we will move on from the horrible movies because they talked Royal Crumble. So I asked you earlier if you had caught up with APPW content. Give me some thoughts you had about the Royal Crumble from APPW. Anything that stuck out to you? The men's crumble, the women's crumble, the title matches.
Well, very disappointed that my girl Lexi didn't come out with a dub, but triple threat match. It's understandable. Outside that, I mean, I thought the men's one was good. I thought, first off, all the content, everything APPW is great. I mean, the work you put in, this isn't just me blowing smoke up your ass or anything. The content that you put out, doing the matches, commentating matches, all that stuff is great. The commentary alone is worth watching. But outside that, Royal Crumble, it was a great pay-per-view. I mean, I liked it, how you did the crumbles and then you put the matches inside. Like a lot of times, sometimes they'll do they'll start off with an individual match, they'll do then they'll do a rumble, or in this case a crumble, individual match, crumble, and then maybe do like a heavyweight championship match at the end in the night. I like it how a lot of the other places, a lot of the other organizations are just starting to sandwich them in between, because it's the two longest matches that you're going to have of the night. So I like how they do that. I loved how you did that. There were surprises, which is what every crumble should have. Of course, fucking Jake showing up in multiple personalities. Go figure. I mean, if you didn't have that on your fucking bingo card, then I mean, what are we doing with fucking life right now? But I mean, figure that was going to happen, and it did. But all in all, I mean, I thought it was a great pay-per-view, or PLE, like Zanka finally remembered to say for WWE, PLE. It was a great pay-per-view PLE, and I mean, everything went I thought how it would be. I mean, there were surprises and stuff like that. So
Jake was actually supposed to come in again. He was supposed to have a third persona. Lord Jake was deleted. The game deleted Lord Jake. So I had everything set up. He was supposed to come in 3 times. I selected all the correct characters, and I noticed Lord Jake was missing. I'm like, oh man, I gotta go and I have to re-download him and then edit. I was like, fuck that. He's coming in twice. That's good enough. So the game itself prevented Jake from coming in 3 times, which is good. Also something funny was that the guys enjoyed the women's Royal Crumble and the women's Royal Rumble the same. They said the women's portions were better than the men's, which I do agree. Zanko winning was exciting, but he came in number 30. It was kind of predictable. And then the women's crumble, it was funny because Melody Parker was the trailer trash Barbie in that. She's actually an adult film star, because I was just looking for random women at the beginning of the season to just fill in some holes in the crumble. Melody Parker is famous for taking, let's say, February men. She's a big fan of the February men, but she is now an official member of APHO.
She's doing her part for Black History Month, folks.
Oh, for sure. She probably walks funny, but yeah, she does is now a roster member because of that performance. And then the end where it was down to Linda's Bush and GameStop Ma'am. I really didn't want GameStop Ma'am. I'm sick of having her in the matches, and it was in both crumbles. But yeah, it was fun to put together. I always say I wish there was a making of, because there's always funny shit that happens behind the scenes. But thank you.
You're gonna have to put out one of those, right? You're gonna have to do a behind the scenes for at least Decent Mania, because I mean, we all kind of have a feeling of how much time it takes just to do that, but the hours, the months, even like if you can even say like the year of doing the storylines and just progressing them to get to Decent Mania. So we, as a fan, and a member, I would love to see a behind the scenes of Decent Mania, so that way you can just show all the stuff, how it goes, and then like you explaining how like with certain matches, like, well, I went ahead and we started building toward it back in, I don't know if you want to just say like November of last year, and I went decided we were going to go this way and all that stuff. That would be interesting because like we don't see a lot of that stuff. We barely see any of that stuff in professional wrestling till you get the behind the scenes stuff of like Dark Side of the Ring or like the documentary on a certain wrestler. Like we don't see that stuff till they talk to those writers and stuff like that. Till then, it would be great to see that, like just for like behind the scenes of Decent Mania, just to see that then. So that way we all have an idea and we can all see not only the blood, sweat, tears, hours, minutes, seconds of your life that you pour into it, and that your wife is so awesomely great to be able to allow you to do, to give just us 100 members of your subscribers of your channel to see, but just be able to see all the ideas and the thoughts that you have going into it, and then the hard work that you put into it.
Every single detail you see has a story. The Chris CBG was the cover of the Royal Crumble. We've been doing this for almost 5 years. He has never been on a pay-per-view poster. And plus the outlandish theme of the carnival, that I wanted something completely different for the Royal Crumble, because in the past have been kind of similar. I wanted something that would stand out. CBG to look like a psychopath, which he did. The song choice for each pay-per-view, again, is a story. Wait till you see February. February is going to be so funny. Like, I can't wait for everyone to see it. Me and Cesar have been working very close on the February pay-per-view. It's going to be great. But yeah, every detail. And then I've noticed the comparisons and commentary from when I was drinking to sober. Like the sober and drinking commentary is so different, because when I'm drinking, I do have more fun. I have way more fun. I laugh more. Sober, I'm actually paying attention to every single thing, but I'm not. There's a difference. I can tell when I'm watching.
Well, the thing, like, I assume when you get the drink, when you're drinking, it brings out the more humorous parts of it, like this, even like the funny things you could do. If you could just somehow blend that part in with the sober, so that way, I mean, that'd be like the end all be all. Because like I would imagine sober, you could be able to point out like the different moves, and the stuff like that. But what's that?
History. When I'm sober,
the history
I can remember the history.
Yeah, and if you could have the funny parts of that with the history, to be able to blend it all in to be like one perfect commentator commentating thing, that'd be great. But I mean, it's whatever you want to do. I mean, and to understand, like you just said, like being sober, that's your choice, and that's a great choice to have, because I mean, I don't want to say it's going to hinder, because nothing can hinder what your performance that you do as 10 cunts, and just as in production value alone. But some people are going to have difference. So I'm looking forward to hearing more of the sober commentary, just because I want to be able to, I can be able to listen to the difference. And to tell you the truth, a lot of the APW fans and subscribers might like it more than 10 cunts unhinged. So,
well, the whole reason why I chose to be sober was I had a come to Jesus moment, like, because drinking was getting out of hand. It's affecting my health and my sleeping and everything. So I quite literally come to Jesus moment. I had a talk with God, and what he did is he removes my urge to drink every day. So it's just like, I don't feel the need to drink anymore. It's gone. Just like that too. It was just like boom, overnight. And I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again. I'm saying the urge to do it every single night is gone. So like the alcoholism has been subdued greatly. but I'm not. It's not like I'm never gonna drink again. But it has been great getting a lot of good uninterrupted sleep has been a great benefit. But yeah, I like how you said the unhinged 10 cunts. That's the drunken 10 cunts that'll just say the most random shit possible. But yeah, it's been a nice change. But again, I haven't sworn completely off. I am human. But moving on, the sheriff's my Instagram question for the sheriff, the way he read one line made me laugh out loud. And I purposely put it in there so he could say it. When he said, "Nah, mean son," like that was the LOL line for me. Is the way he said that line for him to read. It popped me big time. And he came up with Holocaust holes. That's the brain of Zanka. That's why we love him so much. Because he could just come up with the most fucked up but funny phrases, and Holocaust holes was one of them. They are still traumatized about me criticizing the titles of their episodes, so I will no longer criticize it. However, I will drop suggestions every now and then. And then, I mean, also a kind of funny thing I noticed from 169 to 170, the world changed from episode 169 to 170. I remember Jake saying in 169, "What's happened lately? Not much. It's been kind of slow lately." Like at that point, it had only been announced that The Rock took over TKO. That was the only news. But then 7 days later, what a difference a week could make, because then they started talking about the Vince McMahon lawsuit, the crazy text messages, all the allegations, the infamous shit, the dirty Sanchez on the forehead and all that shit. But Stix, what are your thoughts about the Vince McMahon lawsuit, and what do you think is going to come of this?
I would like to say that I'm surprised, but I mean, we've seen just in the last 5 years, the track history and all the stuff that's come out with Vince. I mean, it doesn't surprise you anymore. And it also wouldn't surprise me if they end up settling. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's a reason why this man. It kind of makes me wonder if he knew stuff was bubbling up and the time was good to get out. So maybe that's why he sold, and he tried, clinging on to like just a little bit of part of it, why he was still like part of the board and stuff like that. But just the more and more stuff that's come out, they finally wash their hands of him, which has been a great thing for us wrestling fans, because it allows the man who made NXT back in the day, Black and Gold, one of the greatest brands ever. Now he's doing creative. Obviously, there's still some outside presence from upper management, but it's not Vince that we know of. But we've seen the glimpses of it, of Trips now in control, and we're getting good content. But with everything that's come out with Vince, I mean, it just doesn't surprise anymore. I mean, you'd hear a few backstories on the dirt sheets and stuff like that, and you're like, that doesn't sound like Vince. But then the more and more you hear, the more and more stuff that comes out. I mean, it's just really bad. Because I mean, this man was running, he had WWE up there in the late 90s and 2000s, the Attitude Era. I mean, this man had wrestling by the balls. And it seems like maybe the Attitude Era was kind of a direct correlation to maybe his life. Maybe you could go back and see a lot of the things during the Attitude Era that maybe he did in his personal life. And now you kind of see maybe he was just going off of everyday Vince, that he could just 360, 180 into a wrestling storyline. But it doesn't surprise me, and it's actually kind of sad, because this man was, what he did with WWE and what he did for professional wrestling is going to be sullied by all this stuff that's come out in the last 5 to 7 years. And it kind of, as a guy who's watches and bleeds a lot of WWE, it's sad because, I mean, it makes, I don't want to say it makes you bad that you want to say that you're a WWE fan because, oh, you promoted, you indulged in that stuff that Vince McMahon had his hands all over. It's like, well, yeah, you got to kind of separate the art from the artist, but it doesn't surprise me, but it's kind of sad because, I mean, the man has a family, and you hear stuff about that with some people that have families, and it's just like, what makes you want to do that? Like, what marbles, what wires in your head go loose and just make you decide to do some of the things that you do?
For me, I think this is the beginning of the end. I think this is only the first woman to come forward. I think in the future, we're going to get an avalanche of women and allegations. Sadly, maybe 90% of what they're going to say is true and 10% are just going to be money grabs. But I think this is the beginning of the end for Vince McMahon. An Instagram question I regret not asking. And Sheriff, if you're listening to this right now, just put it in the comments. It's kind of morbid to ask, but it's a thought in my head, and we know how we each other think. So I'm going to ask this without any hesitation. Do you think it'll get so bad to the point where Vince McMahon is staring down the barrel of a life sentence that he might end it? Do you think Vince McMahon would be that kind of person to be like, no, you're not going to get me. You're not going to get your comeuppance on me. I'm not going to serve any time, and just go and end it? Do you think Vince McMahon would shoot himself before he faces any punishment for all the horrible shit he's done? That's what I want to know.
Well, my thing is, I mean, Vince obviously likes himself a lot of Vince. Would he want something like that to be like the final chapter of his story, of like all the remarkable things he's done for not only professional wrestling, WWE, all that stuff, but would he want that to be the final chapter? Like, I think Vince would go down swinging. Like, I think he would, even if he knew he was possibly going to lose, I think he'd lawyer up. My question would be, do you think not only do you think, but how fast do you think he would blow through that? Was it $5.5 billion just to lawyer up and fight all these to end up probably taking plea deals or just settling out of court? Like, Vince is going to do whatever he can to make it look like he's still semi-won, or that he looks strong. But, like, it's going to take a toll on the bank account. Like, he's going to bankroll it. And, like, how long would it be before? Because I agree with you. There's going to be so many, not only of just, like, WWE office people, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out more females in the locker room from, like, back in the day, but also maybe not, I don't want to say current day, but maybe 5 to 7 to 10 years ago, that will come out and Vince, says, I'll make you bigger on the main roster than what you were either down at NXT or on your low budget indie show. Like, I wouldn't be surprised with more of that. But I don't think Vince would off himself. I think he'd burn through his cash first before the thought would come into his mind.
Do you think that there's going to be a point where Vince McMahon passes away and Trish Stratus gets so ugly and brittle that she just says fuck it and writes a tell-all of all the horrible shit she did? Fucking Vince McMahon.
I think she would go through enough plastic surgeries and stuff like that, and then finally, if a doctor told her, yeah, we there's nothing we can do, I mean, we've done everything, then I think that would be the end-all be-all book of it. And then she could finally just go be at home in a nice retirement home where nobody will know who she is. Like, she'll say she's Trish Stratus, and everybody will look at her like, nah, there ain't no way that's Trish Stratus.
They'll be like, who?
Really, Yeah, that too. Not she'll be alone in the. She'll have other people in the schizo side of the wing, and they'll be like, "Nah, who Trish? Who? I don't know no Trish Stratus." So I mean, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a couple of those in the next 5 to 7 years.
Well, by the way, remember Lita back when the Me Too movement was hot? Remember Lita came out and had a times up, like hashtag times up on her fucking top? So I wonder if she's gonna have to add to this. I don't know, but Vince McMahon is in some hot water, folks. But moving on, this Sunday we got the Super Bowl coming up with two teams that we're not particularly fond of, Stix. But let me ask your prediction. Let's get some Super Bowl talk because they talked about football as well. Chiefs and Niners. How's it gonna end?
How I hope it's going to end is I hope San Francisco wins. I mean, I know we had this matchup. I think it was 5 or 7 years ago, and San Francisco had a 10-point lead, and then ended up coughing it up towards the end, and Kansas City came back and won. But I mean, I like I said, I really hope San Francisco wins. But just the way that Kansas City has gone, like they've for the first time in Mahomes' career, he had to play playoff games outside of Kansas City. And by hook or by crook, I mean obviously a little bit of help with the zebras, with the stripes. They've somehow made it to this game. And I guess my question would be to Kansas City fans is how do you guys feel now knowing that you are now this generation's New England Patriots? Like, everybody, like I'm sure Kansas City fans all talked about how much they hated New England and Tom Brady and all that stuff. Well, guess what, guys and gals? Look in the mirror because now you are them. You are the 2020s, 2019. You are this generation's New England Patriots. You have
not only that, not only are they this generation's Patriots, they're worse, Sticks. You know why? Because they have Tadoff Switler backing them up. Yeah. They got all the Swifties. They got that evil bitch backing them up. They're worse than the Patriots. If you
know what's going to make it, what's going to make the Super Bowl even worse? I mean, let's just go ahead and say you're going to get a 1,000 clips of Taylor up in the press box. If Kansas City wins, what happens if Travis Kelce proposes to her on the field during the celebration? That's going to make it 1,000 because you're going to see that for at least a month. And then, where it's going to quietly go away. Then they're going to get married. Or if they get married before the season, you're going to see it. But then if they don't get married before the season, you're going to see it before the season. Because they always talk about Super Bowl winners. They always show the highlights, but they're going to show that. Because as long as Taylor and Travis are together, this is what we're going to get. So
what's even worse is they're going to replay that forever. It's going to get replayed more times than when the pyro messed up on Jeff Hardy when they shot him and he fell on the ground. That's going to get replayed more than that forever till the end of time.
We've got we're like on, I don't know if you want to say two worlds. Like not only is this in the sports world, but now you're out there mainstream world because of Taylor Swift. I mean, she's not only a singer, but I mean, everybody, she likes to speak out on stuff. So this is like, I don't know if you want to say two worlds colliding, but we're gonna see this from both sides. And I'm pretty sure after the first couple of weeks, this got old real quick. But I mean, it's only gonna get worse if they win. And I mean, I'm not even talking like if he proposed to her. If they win, this is just going to get worse as long as they're still together. So,
and if the Niners beat them, I think I'm going to like it a little bit more. I'm going to like seeing the heartbreak on their faces. They didn't win. Taylor's going to be pissed. Yeah, you're right. They're going to smash cut to Taylor the entire fucking game. Every play. When they come back from commercial break, smash cut. When they score, smash cut. When they fumble, smash cut. It's going to be half football, half Tadoff Switler reactions. It's gonna be bad. But yeah, I hope the Niners beat them. But we'll see what happens. I'll just throw some random numbers out there. Oh, and I'm famous for getting all the predictions wrong, right? I'm famous for cursing people. I curse people with my predictions. I'm going to curse the Chiefs and say the Chiefs win 36-30. There, Chiefs, fuck you. I just cursed you with the person who loses every predictions. So take that, Tadoff. But I digress. The guys do talk about the Royal Rumble, and I'm going to ask your thoughts about that. But the one thought I want to mention is the Women's Rumble was better. And we had Jade Cargill. Tiffany Stratton is now on the main roster, which is good. I mean, we've been reviewing NXT for years now. When we see one of our people move up, it's like a graduation. You know, I'm proud. We saw it from the beginning. Like, we liked Tiffany before it was cool, and now she's on SmackDown. She beat Michin. You know, kudos to Tiffany. She get a pay raise, more exposure. But Stix, I need to blow some smoke up your ass, sir. So if you would bend over, please. We saw Jordynne Grace come out in the Women's Royal Rumble. And I mean, you start the beginning of the tripod. It wasn't even a blip on our radar, on Cesar and my radar. Like, Cesar would watch it, but we would rarely talk about TNA Impact until good old Stixy Drip Drip came along. And Andy too. Andy with the Now you guys did the Impact review show. You would talk about it. I would listen to it, the Blackout. It was a great show. That brought it to my attention. And then Stix would talk about Impact. And eventually we got the Drip Pact. And then it just became a part of the tripod. Thank you, Stix, for shining the light on Impact Wrestling. Because I watched it when it was Impact. I'd never watched TNA. So, and then to see Jordynne Grace come out there as TNA Women's Champion. Again, worlds colliding. We get TNA and WWE. It was awesome. That was the highlight of the whole Royal Rumble for me, was seeing Jordynne Grace come out there and mix it up with the WWE women. And she fit like a glove. She belonged out there. It was great. That was my highlight of this year's Royal Rumble pay-per-view, or PLE, as you eloquently put it. But Stix, did you have any Royal Rumble standout moment that you would like to shine some light on?
I echo the same sentiments that you did. Jordynne Grace coming out. You couldn't tell if you didn't watch the intro and talking about her. Like, if you just watched the match and just had on, like, didn't listen to the commentary, you would think she was an actual WWE superstar. She mixed in well with everybody. There were no bobbles, no anything like that. I thought that was awesome. I'm glad that WWE and TNA Impact have done this. I think this was like what we talked about it on the last episode. This is like the second year that they've done this. They had Mickie James the first time, which was great to have. We were kind of wondering if it was just a one-time thing, because obviously with Mickie being a former WWE diva superstar, but it's nice to see that they didn't do that. It's nice to see that WWE is starting to branch out and have some working relationships with other companies, especially companies in the US like TNA. Like, I'm pretty sure they could look at TNA and say, well, I mean, they're not going to be a competitor to us. Like, we will steamroll them. But it's nice to be able to have a working relationship like that. That was one of them. Just the stare down between Jade and Bianca. I mean, that's and especially like how they were able to work the camera angle where they had the WrestleMania huge sign above, and they had those two. I mean, that's just, I mean, if that's not a match at WrestleMania, I mean, that's, what are we doing? I mean, Trips, I mean, unless Jade is full blown not ready for main roster, let alone main roster TV, that's one thing. But if you don't pull the trigger on that, then I mean, whew. But I thought the Fatal 4-Way for the Undisputed Universal Championship was a good match. I thought that was good. I mean, you had that sandwiched in between both Rumbles, but I mean, just the way Roman, and I know we've talked about this for the 1,000 umpteen 100 days that he's been champion, just how he plays his character in the ring, out the ring, the shit talking he does in the rings. We heard it more during the COVID era when they didn't have fans there. You could just hear him talk, but the transformation that he's done under from just being Shield Roman to the Vince McMahon trying to shove him down your throat as the Samoan John Cena face of WWE, to when he came back and now this iteration of Roman Reigns. I mean, this is Roman's best work, and I think every time he's either on TV, regardless if he wrestles or not, I mean, we need to drink this. We need to take this in, because, I mean, Roman could lose his title and then start not wrestling as much as he does. He could go Hollywood like what The Rock has done. And obviously, I mean, we got The Rock back now, but I mean, he could just say, I've made enough money, I'm good. And we could not have that, but I mean, having him in matches like that and just the way he plays that antagonist, because I mean, we all thought going into that match that the other three competitors, they weren't going to team up. And what did they do right after the bell rung? They all three put his ass in the corner and they start putting boots to ass on him, and then they finally start breaking off. But I thought the women's rumble and the fatal four-way, I thought those were good matches for the Royal Rumble.
Again, not a waste of time. It was a great event. Yeah, you're right. They're leaving money on the table if they don't book Jade Cargill for Mania against Bianca or against anybody. We got to see her entrance. I want to see her badass WrestleMania entrance. We got to see that, especially WrestleMania 40. But we digress. They did eventually get to Ready to Rumble in the Chop Shop, so we will get to that right now. But one last note, they are not bringing back Jake's Joke of the Week. Thank Christ. So now, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, we are going to have the After Party Hangover debut, a new segment. It's the After Party Hangovers movie review. And the movie this time is what we've been saying all along, Ready to Rumble. Of course, this movie took place in the year 2000, all the way back then. Stars David Arquette, Scott Conn, and Oliver Platt as Jimmy the King. Titus Sinclair is the bad booker. He's the bad guy in The Matrix, and he's been in a lot of good movies. He's a good guy. This was a great soundtrack. A lot of 90s, late 90s music, rock music, of course. Not all Kid Rock, Jake. Relax. It was basically the resurrection of Jimmy King was this movie. Super fans. We also got a retard in the first 5 minutes of the movie. That shows you how times have changed. We saw Macho Man, the Nitro Girls. David Arquette's dad is a cop. I basically just took notes on the entire movie. The premise is, like I said, the resurrection of Jimmy the King. It had a lot of Zanka humor. That's probably why it's one of his favorite movies of all time. Watching it now as opposed to back then is a huge it's gonna affect my review, because I did watch it back then, like way back then. Again, I was a WWE loyalist, so when I watched this movie, I kind of felt it's weird. Only other wrestling fans would understand what I'm about to say. Watching a WCW product kind of felt like cheating on WWE to me when back in the day. Because again, I grew up WWE loyal. And when people would jump out of WWE to WCW, they were dead to me. Like, I didn't want to know. That changed when Kurt Angle jumped to TNA. Like, I didn't hate Kurt Angle because I'm a diehard Kurt Angle fan. I still think he's the greatest wrestler of all time. But back then, I was a WWE loyalist, so I would try my hardest not to watch a WCW product. But this was a movie, and I love movies, so I was conflicted. So I did watch it. And back then, Sorry, Zanka, but even back then, I thought this movie was fucking stupid. This movie, it's one of those movies that are like, kind of like, how did this get made? It was like Jake had mentioned, a huge commercial and advertisement for WCW. Sure, they were making fun of themselves, but they showcased a lot of their talent and what they could do. Of course, Sting had to be in it. He wasn't beating black people this time. I guess this was pre-racist Sting. But again, we saw cameos from all the WCW favorites. Mean Gene. We had Mike Tenay in there. Tony Schiavone, young Tony Schiavone, pre-earring. Bam Bam Bigelow. We had Conan. We had Kurt Hennig. We had Lil Nate, of course, the ref. DDP, Sid Vicious. We even had Disco Inferno made a cameo in there as well. It was, again, sophomore humor. It's not, I wouldn't say go seek this out and watch it right now. This is something you would wait for it to come on cable for free. By the way, Jake, it was free. It was free on Tubi. I watched it free. There were ads, but it was Ready to Rumble.
I watched mine on. I was able to find it on YouTube TV on video on demand, and I didn't have any commercials on mine.
Nice. So see, Jake, you just got to put a little effort in there. I know you paid money to see it, but this thing was not worth $2.99. Sorry, Zanka. But yeah, again, this is sophomore humor. There is a gag reel at the end. There's a happy ending. I rate wrestling matches in pretzels, and the Steel Raw After Party rate their matches in pizza slices. For movies, since I sneak a pickle in every movie when I go to the theater, I love jumbo pickles. I'm a pickle fan. I'm rating my movies in pickles. So Ready to Rumble, on a scale of 1 to 5 pickles, I would give Ready to Rumble half a pickle.
Ooh.
Just being honest, fellas. Just being honest. I'm sorry. When it comes to movies, I do have a lot of opinions. But yeah, that's my official rating, my official review. Stix, please wax poetic on Ready to Rumble. Stixadam, give it up for Stixadam. He actually watched this, so prepare for this movie review for the first ever segment on the After Party Hangover movie review. Stix, what was your review? And if you could give it a pickle rating, please, sir.
Well, I watched this movie a while back, probably late 2000s, and I hadn't watched it since. So going back, it was like a trip down sophomore college lane. I wasn't as harsh on it as you are. Like you said, we had a lot of cameos. A very, very young David Arquette. Like you said, Oliver Platt as Jimmy the King, which he's been in other movies. It's amazing how you see some people and then you remember. I remember seeing so and so in this movie, and like, wow, they were in this movie. Like, for instance, Sasha, the head Nitro girl, Rose McGowan. She's been in a bunch of movies. I mean, more famously probably known for dating and being with Marilyn Manson. But I mean, people like us, we've seen her in horror movies. I mean, she's not that bad of an actress, so it's kind of surprising. And it also, I didn't remember that she was a Nitro girl, but she was the head. I shouldn't say head Nitro girl, but she was a Nitro girl that ended up weaseling her way into finding out the King's training and gave it back to the scumbag booker promoter. But like just seeing the different wrestlers, it was great seeing Billy Kidman. Billy Kidman was in there. Very, very young Bill Goldberg. Like you said, Rey Mysterio.
The Unmasked.
Unmasked. That was the thing. I was like, because when they showed it, like right in the beginning, it was like, shit, is that Rey Mysterio? And you're kind of looking, it's like, holy shit, they did Rey Unmasked in this movie. Hope he got a good payday. Because I mean, we do remember there was a time when Rey was wrestling unmasked, but now, fully masked Lucha, the goat of Lucha, Rey Mysterio. The cameos were great. Like you said, very sophomore comedic comedic stuff. I don't mind watching that stuff. I mean, if you ask my girlfriend, she says that's probably right down my avenue for comedy movies. I think it's one of those that if you watch, I don't know if you want to say once a year, but if you catch it like once every other year, it's not bad. I mean, it's one of those that if I see it's on TV and there's nothing else on TV, yeah, I'll throw it on there. I'll keep it on there. Nice little thing to have on during the during if you're doing something. It also kind of resonated with me because when I was younger, the two guys like Arquette and the other guy, it was kind of like the enthusiasm I had for wrestling and how I would want to do things in wrestling when I was younger. Obviously now totally different, but like you said, it's a different. There are movies that when you watched when you were younger and you watch now, you're like, why did I like this? You find yourself asking yourself, why did I even think this was good? But I mean, you gotta obviously place yourself back at that age and at that time. But this movie, Ready to Rumble, I didn't think it was a horrible movie. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was a good movie. I gave it 2.5 pickles. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, it's one of those that you don't go out, like you said, don't go out of your way to watch it. But if you do find it on TV, or if you don't pay for TV and you just have the basic free stuff, like Tubi, Pluto, all that stuff, if you have it on, if you find it on there, don't feel bad. Throw it on there. Throw it on there. Sit back with a libation, with an adult beverage, and enjoy the rest of your night. Enjoy your night. So I didn't think it was horrible. I would say I gave it two pickles.
This was the beginning of Rose McGowan's. Is it McGowan or Gowan?
Well, I have no idea.
Well, you know who we're talking about. This was the beginning of her career. She did not look attractive to nowadays standards. She's famous for her fucking Charmed. She was in Charmed. Yeah, dating Marilyn Manson. She was in Jawbreaker. Eventually, she became hot, but in this movie, she was trailer park level. By the way, Scott Conn and David Arquette had one of the worst jobs in the world of emptying out porta potties. I think the only thing that comes close to that is maybe Walmart greeter or fucking mortuary worker. But yeah, they had that job. It was brutal. But again, this is an SRAP movie. They talked about it for 2 episodes, so I decided to do it some justice and do my due diligence and have a movie review. Maybe on the next Hangover, I'll have to force somebody to watch The Zookeeper because I have not seen that movie. I've successfully avoided it for all these years. But Stix, thank you, sir, for rejoining me on the After Party Hangover and letting the people know what's been going on in your life, waxing about wrestling and the Still Real After Party. I am now going to hand the floor over to you if you want to promote anything, your Instagram, your Facebook, whatever, Twitter, anything you want to promote. The floor is yours, sir.
Well, I do have a Twitter, formerly known as X, Instagram and stuff, but I don't need you to follow me. Do not waste your time of looking me up for that on any of those promotions. The only thing I ask of you, I beg of you, is keep subscribing to this man's channel. If obviously you have found it because you're watching this, so do me a favor. If you're not subscribed, go hit the subscribe button, hit the bell thing that gives you notifications for when this man drops content, because this man, like a lot of people in the month of February, he does that for content. He slaves away. If you don't understand what I'm saying he slaves away for content, folks. This man should have a month where it's Mangria, Sangria, however you want to say his name, however you want to go by. They need to do a Mangria Appreciation Month because the content, the hours, the minutes, the seconds, the blood, the sweat, all the stuff this guy does for APPW, for the tripod, for the boys on the Still Real After Party. I mean, what this man does is beyond what we could ever thank him for. So if I could just ask everybody who is watching, listening to this, go subscribe to this man's channel. go check out the content. You know, if you go give APBW a gander. If you don't like it, fine. Fuck, just hang on to the tripod. We'll watch the video version of this man, Julius_Caesar, and myself, where Caesar and myself in the future going forward will be the two drunks and the sober guy, which will probably make this man rip out whatever remaining hair and probably go gray faster than any man, than Benjamin Button in reverse form. So go do that. I just said Julius Caesar. This man has an Instagram. This man puts out great content. White People Wednesday. His reels and his stories are great. That's Julius_Caesar. And last and certainly not least, the man who is one half of the Steel World After Party, the man who is the universal champion of Host of the Year, the man who is the Roman Reigns reigning, I mean, outside of the Dirkistans who are hacking and taking down satellites to try to make it so that puffy peddling van, off-white van driving motherfucker Jake, who you do not want to leave around your kids, is always trying to Tony Skeets his way into becoming Host of the Year. Go check out that man at the Still Real After Party. That man puts out great wrestling memes. Go check him out. Sheriff Zanka, the Skeet Saloon on YouTube. So there's two things you need to do on YouTube. For one, you need to go subscribe and follow this man's YouTube page. But also, two, go find Sheriff Zanka. I'm sure if you just type it into your little Google YouTube keyboard, you'll find Skeet Saloon. Subscribe to that man. He's going to tell you don't subscribe, don't listen to it, don't do that, but do it because this man puts out gold. Just the conversations with himself on a 5-minute drive is topic and entertainment and content in itself. So those are the few minuscule things that I ask you to do. Please go do it. And thank you for your time, Mangria. I always look for, like I said, I always look forward to joining you, joining Caesar. Doing this was something different. I like doing this. When you say we had a movie review, kind of got my blood pumping a little bit. I like being able to do that because we do talk about flicks outside of wrestling inside the chat. I mean, we don't do it very often, but we do talk about our affinity, our affection for horror flicks. So this was a great episode. And I really do enjoy doing these, and I look forward to doing many more, and I look forward to doing many more the tripods.
You're too kind, Stix. Thank you, sir. I truly appreciate everything you said. And the movie reviews, again, I could do a spin-off fucking podcast of that. But like Stix says, check out Steel Real After Party. Check out the Steel Real After Party podcast, the tripod, APPW, this, all the same humor. So if you laughed once, if you laughed twice, check it out. Like, subscribe. Check out my man Stix. He's funny as well. Caesar as well. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, all hail our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.